penguin in the fridge. Every night before I go to bed, I have a habit of opening the refrigerator. I don't even know when I started this habit. Typically, people check the fridge to find something to eat because they're hungry, but strangely, I never feel hungry when I open the fridge. Moreover, my fridge has never had any food in it. A year ago, I moved into this bachelor apartment because it had a kitchen. I impulsively bought a large fridge, thinking I could finally buy groceries and cook at home every day. However, being lazy, I continued to eat out every day after work, and the big fridge became a luxurious decoration taking up space and consuming electricity. Nevertheless, I never regretted buying that fridge. Perhaps, for me, a home requires a kitchen and a fridge. It gives me an inexplicable sense of security, so every night before sleeping, I would ritualistically open the fridge, imagining it filled with food. Even though, each time I opened it, it was disappointingly empty. 3 months ago, one evening when I opened the fridge as usual, I unexpectedly found a penguin inside. She was beautiful, with a petite body, shiny fur, and a cherry red beak. I stared at her in astonishment, and before I could say anything, she spoke first. "I've never seen such an empty fridge." According to her, she liked living in fridges and had been to many, but it seemed impolite to enter someone's fridge without notice. I asked her, "Why are you in my fridge?" She countered, "What did you buy the fridge for?" I replied, "To store food, of course." She continued, "Then why is there no food inside?" I said, "Because I'm lazy." She suggested, "Since you bought such a big fridge and don't plan to store food, how about letting me stay for a while?" After saying that, she slammed the fridge door shut, leaving me alone in bewilderment. Despite her unreasonable behavior, I couldn't help but find her cute, contemplating throwing her out of the window. Ignoring her, I went straight to bed. The next morning, as I prepared to leave for work, she peeked out from the fridge, asking if I could buy some fish for her after work. I casually said okay and left, thinking how presumptuous she was. Though reluctant, I made a detour to the fish market that evening, bought 2 mackerels, and she happily sat on top of the fridge eating. I sat on the floor, watching her, and questioned her about how she ended up in my fridge. She said she didn't know and had been to many fridges of various sizes. Owners usually gave her tasty treats, but mine was the first big yet empty fridge she encountered, so she decided to stay. Sighing, I said, "Since it's empty anyway, why not keep a penguin? It won't cause any harm." Surprisingly, she became upset, saying, "Hey, get it straight. I'm not your pet, okay?" Don't expect me to follow you around like a puppy." With that, she slammed the fridge door again. Sitting on the floor, I couldn't help but laugh at the quirky personality of this penguin. Yet, I strangely liked her. A few seconds later, a complaint emerged from inside. "Can you fix the light inside? It's always on when I open the door, and it goes off when I close it." 2 days later, I modified the fridge to have the weirdest feature ever. The light would go off when the door opened and on when closed. Besides the increasing electricity bill, my life began to change. I started buying fresh fish every day and stored various foods in the fridge. Every night before bed, instead of checking the fridge, I knocked 3 times on the door, waiting for her to open it so we could chat. She borrowed books from my shelf daily, returning them frozen stiff. Our conversations mostly revolved around those books. She was a smart penguin with quirky thoughts, often making me laugh. Occasionally, I shared details about my work, funny incidents, and thoughts about the future. When feeling down, she comforted me with encouraging words, strengthening my dependence on her. She became like a friend or even family to me. She attempted to integrate into my life. One evening, she insisted on trying my home-cooked braised fish. I agreed, and we sat face to face at the dining table. Astonished, she remarked that my fish was unexpectedly delicious, much better than what she had before. From that day on, she explored my room, even using the bathroom, though we never went outside. After all, penguins are sensitive to heat, and the weather here was too harsh for her. Days passed peacefully on our little island in the bustling city, providing each other companionship during lonely moments. I gradually learned to cook simple meals. With her approval, I stored some food in a separate compartment of the fridge. Our mealtime became the happiest part of the day, and she often complimented my improving cooking skills. However, despite the joy, conflicts occasionally arose. One weekend afternoon, a colleague unexpectedly visited me. She was pacing in the living room, and I hastily picked her up and put her in the fridge when he knocked. Angry, she danced inside the fridge. When I opened the door, she scolded me, but I signaled to keep quiet. My colleague accepted my invitation for dinner, leaving me in a dilemma as my fridge was now a mess. I awkwardly cooked a stew with the leftovers, and surprisingly, my colleague enjoyed it. He praised my homemaking skills, and I chuckled nervously, suspecting that she intentionally messed up the fridge. After my colleague left, I apologized to her, and she seemed to understand my predicament. Although pouting, she no longer held it against me. That night, I made a decision and said to her, "Is sleeping in the fridge comfortable for you every day? How about sleeping in my bed?" Surprised, she didn't refuse directly but mentioned that it would be too hot. I suggested using the air conditioner and covering up with more blankets. After contemplating for a while, she agreed. Since then, I slept with a penguin. We ate, chatted, and watched TV together. Sometimes, I even gave her a bath. The fridge gradually filled with various delicious foods, not just fish, but also vegetables and fruits. Every night, we enjoyed a large table of meals together. The nightly habit of checking the fridge disappeared. Time passed, and everything seemed perfect until one day last week. My parents planned a visit, and I excitedly shared the news with her. However, she was reluctant. She asked, "Are you planning to introduce me to your parents like this?" I inquired, "Don't you want to meet them?" She said, "It feels strange. I don't know how they'll see me or you. They probably won't be happy." I reassured, "It doesn't matter. I'm ready to make everyone accept you. You're so adorable, they'll surely like you. Besides, I'm happy now. Why would they be unhappy?" She replied, "They do want you to be happy, but not with a penguin." Disheartened, she shook her head. That night, she insisted on sleeping in the fridge. Alone in bed, I turned off the air conditioner but felt an unprecedented chill. The next morning before going to work, I knocked on the fridge for a long time, but she didn't open it. When I finally opened it, she was gone. The food remained undisturbed, as if there had never been a penguin living there. She had vanished from my life without a trace, as abruptly and thoroughly as she had appeared. After her departure, I continued the reflexive act of checking the fridge before bed, but I no longer ate out for dinner. My fridge was always stocked with a variety of delicious items. Although my culinary skills weren't exceptional, seeing the fridge full gave me great satisfaction. One day, a friend asked, "Why do you always buy so much and cram it into your fridge? Can't you wait until you finish eating before buying more?" I thought, if it's always full, there won't be room for another penguin. Despite missing that unconventional penguin, life continued.
Sorry.